Welcome back to poLAND.tf. Welcome back to the Essentials TF stream. I'm TurboTabs. I'm joined with Condawg and not Steven. Gentlemen, we're back in the upper bracket. We're back with some Prem level gameplay all across the board. And yeah, finally we're back to what we're used to throughout the entire year of 2025. We've had obviously a little bit taste of it with our ETF2L season. But you know, if you're living under an absolute rock and you have no idea what we're talking about, maybe we've got a little recap for you.
That was lovely, Turbo. Keep it up, buddy.
Any second now.
Keep praying to the...
One whole year has passed since Europe's strongest teams gathered in Łódź at the inaugural poLAND.tf winter event. A lot has changed at the top of the scene since last February, so let's run through some of the key moments. The first event on the calendar was TF2L Season 47, which saw a changing of the guard. Previous finalists, The Last Resort and Wer das Lied ist Doof, both failed to even make it into playoffs, whilst MANDEM finally found their stride to take their first Premiership title, only losing one map along the way. Next up was the Uberfest LAN in Germany. 3 Premiership teams took the trip to Dortmund, where Pepe's Pizza Party, now known as Venom Crest, finished 3rd, leaving New Panzer to beat Skeda in the closest final since Arcadia. Multiple golden caps and single-point victories culminated in Ghazi hitting a clutch sniper shot to drop Mac, resulting in a 3-1 series win for New Panzer. When teams returned home for ETF2L Season 48 playoffs, both Uberfest Grand Finalists fell early, leaving Forfens to dethrone MANDEM and become the first French team to win Prem. Now, with Season 49 already underway and the top of Premiership looking more competitive than it has for many years, Poland's crown is anyone's for the taking. Make sure you don't miss it.
Man, Ben's got some lungs on him, hasn't he? Like, oh, Jesus. Well, I mean, thanks, Ben, you know, for kind of recapping us there. It's been quite an eventful kind of like arc quarter, I would say, of TF2. And yeah, it's been really competitive, hasn't it, Condawg?
Yeah, it certainly has recently. There's almost emerged quite a few top teams now. You know, we've got some of the big dogs. We've got the Witnesses of the world. We got the MANDEM, you know, and the Frenchies. And, you know, we've also, sure, they're maybe not doing so well this tournament, but you got people like Anticide, you got DTR, you got Mac. This is one of the most stacked lands I've seen in, I don't know, since when?
It might be ever.
Ever?
It might be ever.
Steven reckons ever.
Yes. Steven, I mean, we've had the ETF2L Championship trade hands a lot amongst all these teams, amongst all these different leaders and all that. Is it really time that maybe like Witness stepped down a bit and it's going to be going towards one of these other teams?
I mean, they've stepped back, but I don't know if they have stepped down potentially yet. I mean, I think they're still the people to beat. But if anyone can do it, it's one of these 2 teams. As it says down the bottom of your screen there, it is Forfens and MANDEM fighting to go to that upper bracket semis where, you know, they might be facing that scary Goliath. That is in a Witness Gaming. But these 2 teams are, I would say, the 2 teams that you're expecting to take it to Witness, if there's any teams. And it's just so hard to decipher what might happen. I mean, there's so many storylines going on. Can the Frenchies, the team that won Prem Online last season, can they show at LAN that they still got it? Or is it going to be MANDEM, the team that's choked too many times to count on one hand at this point, but have also previously won Prem, a slightly different roster from when they did, but still so strong?
Well, you hear that, Condawg? Too many to count on one hand. Can you count MANDEM out on one hand?
Not on one hand, Turbo. You can definitely count them on 2 hands. That's right, we're here for the MANDEM. The MANDEM will be taking this in 2 maps, Turbo. It's coming through. We're going to have some Koth, I think. You know. Do we know who the MANDEM are, Turbo?
I guess you're positioning for a roster rundown. You know what? For old time's sake, I guess we'll go through the boys and obviously girls as MANDEM. Why don't we, seeing as you're the champion of MANDEM, you've literally got them in the palm of your hand. Let's see if you got them in
the palm of my hand.
Well,
it's the other way around, Turbo. It's not. Well, you know, you're almost there.
Metaphorically, you've got the team in your hand. Maybe not the logo.
Turbo. MANDEM, they have the best soldier in Europe at the moment. I'm talking about Big Daddy Rons, okay? He's better than your pappies. He is better than Hugo. Hugo? That's right. On Scouts, they've got the beast that is Boulder and Inso. These guys have been playing together for a long time, many seasons. Boulder, he's been one of these up-and-comers over many seasons now, and he's now a champion. He's got a gold medal or two, from what I know. On Medic, you got June Oopie, maybe? I'm not sure which name is. Is it June? June's that what we're going with? Okay. And then we've got the beast that is Zams on demo. And let's not forget, the Portuguese monster Haunts on Roma. And, you know, they come into this LAN, they came second, or they're positioned in second in TF2 currently. Obviously, we haven't had playoffs yet, but I've got big hopes and expectations for the boys, and I'll be cheering for the MANDEM all the way.
Stephen, I do hope you've got 4 friends printed on your body somewhere, or at least maybe printed into your mind, perhaps. Maybe you could give us a little bit of a roster rundown.
Yeah, it's on the back of the head there. Unfortunately, not shaved at the moment, so I can't really show it off. But yeah, this French roster, it's a formidable one. They've stayed together from that online season, so a lot of experience, not changing out 2 players like the stinky MANDEM have, having to kind of relearn a little bit. No, so we have that QB and Nevo Scout combo, which has been just insane. They've been perfection. QB, he just improved so much in like the past year. He's always been solid, you know, around that Prem area, but I think he's just kind of stepped up another level in the past 6 months. Nevo, he's just God. He's been around for so long, finally getting that gold medal. And then for soldiers, we've had Demul. He plays like an alien, by the way. I had to say this at some point. But he plays with his hands splayed out all the way.
Not to be confused with the actual alien, like the
No. But he shoots with P. He uses his little finger to press P to shoot.
He has to give himself. He has to kind of, you know, recognize that he needs to handicap just a little bit, just to make the competition just a little bit easier.
It doesn't seem to matter because he's going crazy on the sniper on the off class. He's going crazy on the soldier, making loads of space. And then he's finally reunited with his brother in arms. And we do have the Brugesman is back in the arena. Will be playing this one out, and I think it's going to be such a good morale boost to finally have that player who's also pivotal to this team. He's a big caller, he's a big player, and he's a big name for this team. So you've got to watch out for the Brugesman. And then finishing off the roster there, you've got King Deli, 69, always formidable, always aggressive, always going for the craziest shots possible, always one to look out for. And then Mula, the man with the drip, always looking good, easy money sniper himself. Oh,
yeah.
What a roster.
He's not just a man of drip. He's probably the best smelling man all of LAN. I gave him a hug when I arrived, and I was like, my God, man, you smell phenomenal. Like, look, I have to let it out there. If we're going to talk about the man's style, he's literally working every single facet. Anyway, drips aside, these two teams, obviously, they're meeting up for the first time here in this upper bracket semi-final. They were in opposite groups. I know you're looking at me all weird here, but they haven't seen each other, really, this LAN. They might have played some scrims and bits and bobs and whatnot, but this is the first time playing off, and it's in a best-of-3 format. Condawg, is there any excuses left? Is there really, this is the point they're going to start going all out?
I mean, look, Tobo, I think it's going to be heavily map dependent. You know, hoping maybe we can show some map picks and bans on the screen. There we do.
Oh,
we have
flawless.
Ooh, okay, bit of a product ban coming out from the MANDEM. They seem to be fearing the Frenchies on that. That's interesting. So we're going to have Metalworks first map, Snakewater second, with a Koth Bagel as the final map. That's what we like to see.
Oh, interesting.
But, Turbo, something of note here. For Fence, they just lost to Anticide on Bagel. MANDEM have crushed Anticide yesterday. Okay? I find it odd that they've let Bagel get all the way through. Are they scared of the sultry and the gully wash against the MANDEM?
Yeah, you could have some thoughts and maybe possible kind of strings of logic there. Stephen, do you think these teams like improve a lot when it comes to the LAN sort of environment? Do they actually gather around that that log room, that demo room, and start looking at the tape and think like, we can make some improvements here? And is this an example of one, or did they blunder here? Did they let the wrong map through?
It's always hard to say, right? You're not in their comms. You don't know what their pick ban system has really been. Obviously, you're going to always be unconfident on some maps. They're just your first ban, and they just have to be out of there. But sometimes you're like, yeah, maybe that was a bad game, but here's what we did wrong, and like maybe we played it really well in season and we think this is a one-off. That's potentially what it is. Or maybe it is a potential blunder where they thought that the MANDEM didn't want to play KOF as they banned that product. It might be that they thought, oh, they're going to fear they ban product straight away. They're not going to want to play Bagel. I know, it's hard to say though, but I think you're at the stage now where you're going to want to be starting to demo review, because these are the games that matter, right? You don't want to be knocked down if you can help it. You want to be winning these games. You want to be, continue up through that upper bracket. And yeah, this is when it starts to matter. They've had a little bit of time today. They've, only started their games at like 2:30. So they've had loads of time, man. Get in the booth. I know Tomas he's been on his work. He's been on his grind. So I'm hoping these Frenchies have been doing the same.
Condawg, talk to me about like the player experience and when it comes to these long-winded LAN events and the map picks and bans. Is there credence? Is there time worth spending recovering what seems to be a bad map for a team, or is it better to just kind of cut your losses and just ban out maps?
I think Turbo, it's a lot about you want to go from map to map, and it's easy to sort of breeze past them, and I think you should. On LAN, you're going to be playing a lot of games. Yesterday you had 7 games, 7 maps. You only normally play 4 of an evening if you got Scrim and an Offie. So 7 is a lot to sort of play in one day. Today it could be even more if you go in head deep into the tournament. And I want to talk a little bit about the medics, Turbo, if that's all right.
No, it's not all right,
Well,
because we've got some games to go forward to. We've got to throw it over to our casters. They've got some thoughts too, and they've also got some great gameplay. We've got our upper bracket semi-final. Take it away, boys.
That would be us, the boys. I'm Cerny, joined by Rock, standing in for the sickly Wandem. He's had a little bit too much to drink, apparently, so I think we'll have a worthy replacement, though. I think you're ready for this, right? You're looking forward to this game.
Yeah, I'm really glad to be on LAN, and I'm really glad to see this game in particular. This is one I've been so excited for. I think this is actually one of the most exciting matchups we have. I love seeing ForFence play in general, and MANDEM have just looked really solid to me on LAN so far. So looking forward to more from them. I
am really curious to see how ForFence are going to do without the training weights. Because if they were already looking really solid yesterday, and they were basically playing with training weights on without Brugman, with Sake standing in. So I wonder how much this upgrade is going to do for them, because that's their main caller, that's their most important player. Arguably, at least that's what everybody on the team always said when we're talking to them. So I'm excited to see how they're going to take it away on Metalworks first as well. A map that I think ForFence traditionally are very, very strong on, actually.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I'm really excited to see what they're going to bring out on this map because, as you said, they're really comfortable here. I think that their soldiers in particular seem like they're just on the same page at all times. I've really been impressed with how Brugman manages to kind of set up for their team, and then Demure he's always just finding absolute miracles over on that soldier. So definitely looking towards them to have a lot of success here. And I mean, I think the rest of this team is just such a really great squad to kind of back that up and capitalize off the back of it, and I think that's why with Brugman kind of leading the charge over on these soldiers, it's so darn powerful.
And it's going to be interesting to see, because this is the first time we will watch these teams face each other off as well. They were in different groups for the first day. We had no idea what this matchup would look like on LAN. I think these teams are also very keen to see how that's going to go, and they have readied up, ready to go, take it into the first mid-fight of this series in the semi-final, and a chance to make it to the finals directly. Well, there's a bit of a journey left still, but at least avoid the lower bracket for now, right? See where it takes you as they make their way to the first mid-fight.
Yeah, much as we love seeing more TF2, these teams do not have to play more games, and they have to play more of that information, as I said, to kick things off. And playing a lot from the low ground, both of these demos here, and a lot of damage going the way, as that's both demos down.
Right away, just that easily, Brugman gets in a deep bomb, but doesn't get any ground with it either, as maybe, just maybe, somebody else can follow up any damage. It is players for ForFence, to be fair. They're finding the frags eventually. The crucial players are still alive for MANDEM, though, and lots of damage gets dealt onto Mula. He gets cleaned up eventually by Hans as he slipped through, and that's no heals remaining for these ForFence players as they desperately try to chase down June on the other end, who is left alone for her own devices. QB will clean up that kill. And it's a 1 mid for ForFence, not decisively, but they do win it nonetheless.
Yeah, I thought you might have gotten that pack, but it doesn't quite make it happen. And even then, you still got those scouts chasing you down. Not quite going to go your way. And yeah, nice first fight win for ForFence. They start things off with a couple of slip-ups. They lose Brugman earlier on, but D-Maul's in the right position. Again, overall, ForFence making good decisions for kind of the macro decision of how that goes. They drop their med, yes, but instantly they're capturing players right on after, using the force they have left to push on through. And now they're looking towards second here and already getting ready for some of those bombs.
And with Mula dying earlier, it's going to be a very slight add for ForFence to work with as well. Probably nothing to write home about at all. And Brugman's going to try to at least open up a little bit for Dumoul to come in afterwards. Nah, nothing to follow up with their positions. Too strong for MANDEM. Just fake it out for now. See what you can do. That's how Metalworks works. You can get your soldiers in and out pretty easily. Lots of space to work with. So try what you can make work with these bomb attempts, and probably the next one lined up sooner rather than later as well. Obviously, got to expect the opposite as well. Hans and Ron's both keen to maybe do the same, as they just fight in lobby, and Dumoul has to hold his own for a while. Will do so just fine as Brugman goes high once more. Has to land on the point. Won't be getting much done with this though. It's probably gonna get cleaned up as well.
Yeah, it gets caught on the edge there, unfortunate for them, but it's going to be them just backing out, making sure they don't lose too much more. As long as they don't lose a couple more players, it's actually fine for them. They can hold out on mid here, and it's not really going to be much of a push forward. MANDEM decide that maybe pushing forward with a couple of those players isn't too good, but the combo definitely starts to step up here. Sam starts to lay down some of that damage, but can't really turn it into anything just yet, and has to beat a hasty retreat.
They're just going to reset off of that. Both teams still wanting to have a good opening here. One player going down, not quite enough. These teams know they need a little bit more than that. The enemies are going to be very quick on the response if they make a misstep. So you want to have a little bit more than just one singular frag to go your way. And as it stands right now, well, they're looking for those openings. Maybe even some off-classing sooner rather than later. It's not a perfect point to do it in, obviously, but they're really banking on these bombs. I think this Brugman distraction bomb, the Dumoul follow-up is really what they're banking on at this point in some way. And well, they're getting a bit of ground with Nevo going in, Brugman following up as well. They do lose their scout in that little scuffle as immediate follow-up comes through with Hans as well. Nice rocket, almost gets onto Mula, but not quite.
Yeah, I mean, they took a lot of damage getting on in there, and they do actually manage to pick up Delhi, so that's the demo away, meaning that mid is nowhere near as easily defensible for ForFence right now. So they're going to have to be a little bit careful, but no commit just yet. MANDEM aware that they are lacking players. They are lacking a little bit of health on players like Ron, so quite making that happen just yet isn't quite there. They're going to put some players through, get some of that space with these soldiers, but Team Mule puts them oh so low, but can't make it happen. The force comes through, and you can see that they're trying to catch MANDEM here somewhere, something, but it's just not happening. They're going to have to get out of there, and ForFence not able to hold that mid at all off of a really nice start of the fight from MANDEM.
Yeah, just find a player behind, get rid of the Dumoul, make sure that you win that duel, and then the exchange favors you if you have the numbers. So MANDEM keep it rolling forward. Now it's their turn to try and bust into the second somehow. Ubers are still equal, but they're not in play yet. So if you're fast enough, Hans is already in through. He's deep into lobby, manages to do what no French soldier could do before him, and will be able to get some damage on the combo. Gets cleaned up by a scout still, and there's not much follow-up coming either. Well, Ron's tries to, but gets, okay, nice rocket out to Nevo, but shut down anyway.
Yeah, unfortunately, you don't have the players to really make much more happen than this. Delhi is going absolutely ham, really trying to land those pipes, but quite far forward here, taking a lot of damage.
Lives
back
anyway.
to their team, gets away. And ForFence, they kind of settle back into that defensive position, while MANDEM really looking to iterate through their options and try and find a way to crack open that second.
They've shown more initiative so far than ForFence did. They've tried some different things, tried some other things. Neva also making sure there's no off classes in play, and some stuff that, you know, MANDEM tries to maybe do from time to time. So for the time being, taking it slow, taking it steady, seeing where they can find their openings here. Another opening by their soldiers, by Ron's or Hans. Probably the way to go here. It's traditionally how you do it. Maybe winning just a duel in the alleyway as well, but gotta work through this the normal way. Ron's goes for another high bomb. Just a little bit of scout and a little bit of viewing, and the lookout tower is enough to get a bit of information, but you have to get out of there alive as well, and they're resetting for now again.
I think MANDEM very sensibly not committing too hard for very much of this, but they start to see some opportunities, getting some good damage down, means they can start to move forward. Ron's is going to be able to get out of that one very importantly there, as the rest of the team continues that pressure forward. With Inzo down, again, MANDEM lacking some of that momentum to push on through. But I don't think ForFence are in position to really capitalize anything off the back of it.
It's not easy to push off of one scout pick. You need a little bit more than that, especially when you've got the soldiers and Zams staring you down every doorway. You're not gonna be able to commit much to that. And ForFence in general, even without Brugman, we're looking a little scared to push on at least day one of LAN. There were many opportunities, especially in Process, where they could have, against Witness, for instance, pushed out and did not choose to do so. So I'd be very surprised if they took a very small advantage like that. And they're gonna want to have a little bit more than that to work with. And Well, that gives MANDEM more time to try and figure out how to get into the second as they reaggress themselves, recollect themselves. Everybody's healthy, everybody's in position to try and get onto something here. There's a lower spamming the high ground with the combo. Soldiers getting closer as well. And bomb comes in from Rons. He's in behind. Will he be able to actually do anything from this lobby position though? Get onto the demo, maybe. Just a frag onto Delhi would be doing a lot here, but everybody's so low at MANDEM. Look at their healths. They won't be able to stick in this fight whatsoever.
Yeah, they're going to start to heal those up, but the pressure's still on. So many low players here. Rons gets the force. That's huge. That's exactly what they needed. The rest of the team continue to fight on in. They've got that Uber to give them the support, to give them the space to do so. They catch Neva, they catch Mula, they catch QB, and that's perfect for MANDEM. Exactly what they needed.
They killed 3 people before Mula even popped his Uber. Everybody was low, but it doesn't matter if there's no cleanup onto the side of MANDEM, and that's going to be such an easy opportunity for him to take this last point as well. Second is taking forever to cap. It feels so long, but it doesn't matter, because even if the spawners are there, they won't get out of spawn in time. And MANDEM grabbed their first round of Metalworks within just over 7 minutes.
Yeah, really nicely done, honestly, off the back of just great bombs coming in from the soldiers. We said how important they were going to be here, and obviously I highlighted fourfengs, right? I'm a big fourfengs fan, but don't get it twisted. MANDEM soldiers are also absolutely brilliant. Rons and Haunts have been absolutely fantastic over the course of this tournament so far, and over the course of this season. I've been loving what MANDEM have really been able to put to the table, and, well, keep an eye on them in this mid.
Yeah, there's a good chance that they will be the playmakers here again as well, as the teams kick it off immediately, taking some ground on both of their crates, as you do on your normal Metalworks mids. A bit of spam, a bit of peek and prod, nothing special just yet, but these soldier bombs, you know, both sides are rearing to go. They want to get in deep into these enemy combos, see what they can do. Lots of damage to Mula early. There's going to be follow-up bombs sooner rather than later. Somebody's going to try to clean up that medic, and they find Delhi first. Eventually they find Mula as well, and this opens up things very wide for MANDEM. If they can keep June safe and secure here from these remaining four-fence players, these Frenchies that desperately want to get that medic frag, and they do, they're going to have another nicely won mid from MANDEM.
Yeah, I mean, fourfengs not able to keep Mula alive here. Again, the pressure from MANDEM, especially in these mids, has been a little bit too much for them to really deal with. And I think fourfengs need to maybe kind of chill out a little bit more. Less committal from their soldiers could be helpful in making sure they don't lose, well, what is the core of their comp, obviously, with that medic. They're going to move back to last. They're going to start to set up some of those off classes and look for a way to hold this one out.
Metalworks last tends to be decently easy to hold. It's definitely on the easier side of the maps that we have in our pool, but against a full Uber and a very keen MANDEM team, it's still going to be a tall order nonetheless. That Sentry probably not quite level 3 just yet. Pyro in position as well. The Uber comes in from the far side. They will take that Pyro down, and the Sentry as well immediately. They're in deep into the entire enemy combo. Soldiers in the sky just shot down immediately. Zam's the only one to fall so far for MANDEM, and it's not going to be anything close to enough for fourfence to defend that point.
Yeah, MANDEM really keeping up that pace quickly, making sure that there was no Uber, there was no nothing. They get holed up in that spawn room. There's no way for them to really execute on anything here, and I think that was a big part of what they were doing on mid as well. Loving the fact that MANDEM are happy to play this faster game of fourfence, not quite adapting to it well enough yet.
Not looking too comfortable with this fast pace just yet. Maybe they take a little bit to get warmed up and woken up here. They've only played one match so far, and they did admirably against it, but they did lose a map to Anticide earlier as well. Let's not forget that. It has happened today already, so maybe looking a bit shaky so far. We'll see if this next mid is going to go their way a little bit more. Lots of early damage there onto the MANDEM combo. Matter of fact, Inzo's going to be the first to fall. Mula's eating a lot of damage again as well, though. And matter of fact, everybody's so low for the side of fourfence. They don't have to heal up for a while. QB traded out for Zams. That's probably a very good deal if you're trying to win a mid fight, and it's enough to make MANDEM quake in their boots and get back to second.
That's the first mid fight for fourfence coming through here. Really important for them. As we said, they were struggling to deal with the pace that was being set by MANDEM. However, now they've got control of the pace. Can they slow things down? Can they set up as they like rather than their opponents? poLAND is absolutely not happy with the idea of playing slow. Goes ham. They take down Bruchman as well. That is brilliant for them. They do lose Inso, but that's fine. That's just their flank scout. They can keep up this pressure and maybe look to move out here.
Hans is already in behind. The Uber is being exchanged, and Hans is ready to go whenever a team manages to back into him or just go high. They'll land directly on top of Mula's head. One rocket, two to clean it up. Very easily done. Very quick, very clean. Now you just got to make sure June is safe, and that appears to be perfectly the case. So another beautiful opportunity for MANDEM to switch the script, take it forward themselves, and continue on.
And as we said before, it's the soldiers, man, from MANDEM, looking absolutely brilliant. Rons and Horns are on the same page, constantly finding opportunities for their team and setting them up for success. You do see Dumul start to bring something back, but MANDEM still very much kind of in control here. We'll find that fight.
He wins those.
Yeah.
That's why he's Rons, man. The one French soldier that escaped the French team, but really there's a bit of a grudge there in some ways, and he wins that one against Brugman. He will be able to keep himself alive, and I mean, it just opens things up again for MANDEM to maybe take themselves a bit further forward here. They do want to get into this mid still. Obviously, Frenchies are holding on, but they have that ad as well. June is sitting on an Uber, Mula nowhere close yet, and that's a Demul traded out for an Inzo. Probably a good deal if you're on the side of MANDEM. Again, a scout for a soldier, probably valuable. QB going down as well, opening up even more. And Florida Frenchies are just going to have to give this one up. They can't really fight this much more. Matter of fact, they're getting chased really aggressively. Ron's almost perhaps too aggressive, perhaps a bit too eager, but it won't matter because they're still going to be on the back foot for a little bit.
Yeah, you can see that MANDEM really have their finger on the buzzer of the Uber. They wanted to force something, they wanted to get that fight going, but it didn't quite happen. However, pushing forward now, fourFence want to try and make a play of their own as they get aggressive here.
Want to get this Uber exchange so badly, and they're just going to kill Boulder before it ever even happens. Nevo trying to lay down as much damage as he can on the point. Just diffs both scouts while on the beam. Immediately ready to chase June as well. Won't quite get the damage down just yet, but it doesn't matter. If you're going to get the force at some point, if you get it earlier, that's all you need. Unfortunately, Zams has a word with it. Hits a nice little pipe, gets that medic out safe. And it's going to be an Uber still in store for June. Perhaps Nevo trying to style it a little bit too much, perhaps out of ammo. But Brugman is right there to maybe cut off at least the demo man. And it's still lots of aggression out of fourFence. These MANDEM players are going to be scrambling to set up a defense now. They don't have any time.
Yeah, they don't have much. They're going to be on that heavy rather than the NG because they just don't have said time. They can look for a chance to make something happen here. A lot of stickies there that could be problematic, and they're waiting for Brugman. I think fourFence are looking at this and going, okay, well, we're going to have to iterate through our options right now. It's even Ubers. It's going to be relatively even players. It's pushing into Metalworks last. It's not going to be easy.
Yeah, it's not going to be trivial for sure. They have to work for this one, and it's probably the most that anybody's had to work for last for so far on this map. So we'll see how fourFence try to approach this one, whether it will be a Sisyphean task that we're going to be seeing for the next 10 minutes, or whether they're actually going to be able to convert it rather quickly. I suppose it's going to be on the playmaking. This is the opportunity. This is where teams like to go sniper. Boulder's already doing it on the defensive side, but also on the offense. You can get some crazy angles, some crazy hero shots if you so desire. And maybe all you need is a Brugman Demul boyfriend bomb that just opens things up for them as well. Demul's already ready to go. And as is Brugman, they go around the main side. Sentry will juggle them a bit, but a soldier frag. Nice little air shot onto Rons. Gets that one. Another cleanup onto Haunts as well. And meanwhile, Inzo dies. That's 3 frags for the price of 2. Probably a nice opening for a bit more fourFence aggression to follow up with here, and that's exactly what's happening as the Ubers get exchanged. Actually, no, just one for June. Mula has no reason to pop.
Yeah, wow, what a play from the side of fourFence. You know, I was looking at it, as you said, the boyfriend bombs coming through, and fourFence, I mean, they lined it up oh so nicely. Taking out 3, as you said, and even getting in QB there to just get the force. That was so huge, and MANDEM now really on the back foot. They're going to have to change things up. They are going to be able to get that NG. They are going to have a sniper to try and maybe find something, but it's going to be difficult. That could have been real problematic for fourFence. If you drop there, I'm not going to lie, I'd be kind of tilted.
Yeah, no, that would be like a life-shattering type of drop, but Mulas are going to drop that time. He's going to get his Uber in with his team here, and they're going to get so much cap time right off the bat. Nevo just sticking that point for so long. Matter of fact, that's all they need to do. Stand on the point, win the fight off of that. Nothing else to worry about as the rest of the players are just stuck with the Uber. And there you go. That's a round on the board for fourFence. They're back in this. They're not giving this one up without a fight.
No, they sure as heck aren't. And as we said again, it's the soldiers setting up for it. What an air shot coming from Brugman there. And I love to see this map because it really emphasizes just how brilliant these soldiers we have in Prem are, and MANDEM and fourFence are absolutely a huge part of that. Looking forward again to seeing how they're going to do on this big. Keep your eyes on them, but also keep an eye on these demos. This has been a lot of damage going their way.
Yeah, Zams and Deli both laying down a lot, but also taking a lot of aggression. That's kind of the important target on these mid-fights. If this demo is out of the equation early, that's your mid-fight done with already. And Deli very low. Gonna have to heal up for a bit, just back out for a while. And it will be Inzo, once again, the first to fall inside of MANDEM. And that's a huge bomb by Demul to just follow up, chase up the team here into Valley. That's Ron's taken care of. Nobody else on MANDEM even wants to fight anymore. They gotta get themselves collected.
And keep an eye on how that fight went, right? We were talking earlier about the pace from MANDEM. They go fast, they go quick, they got everything they want. This was fourFence slowing things down, putting their soldiers on out and going, let's just spam them, let's just spam them. And MANDEM struggled to deal with that in the way that they would like to do so. So MANDEM not able to win that mid, and again, we've got fourFence controlling what's going on here.
They're finding their stride slowly but surely now. Back on last again for Forfence. Another round they have to put on the board if they want to take the map. And Bruchman slipping in, getting a frag there onto Hans before getting shut down himself by a nice little pipe from Zams. That's both soldiers bombing in, just trying to make something happen. It's not like MANDEM are going to be very keen to push out of last themselves. It's a bit of a tough one at the end of the day. And 2 soldier picks, that's not much to write home about. Matter of fact, I wouldn't be surprised if we might see some sort of off-classing. Maybe somebody's going to open a door. Maybe they're just sticking with it. I guess it's worked so far. Why change a working system, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think they're going to just chill out, relax, start to work their magic. And I'm kind of looking towards maybe an off-class here. These bombs have worked really well, though. Like, I'm looking towards it, and I'm like, how do you crack last? You go off-class. But before Fence, I mean, as we said, sending their duo forward, getting a nice pick, it was really pivotal for them in the previous time they made this push. However, you can't, I mean, that doesn't always work. They've got to try and find some kind of great opening or prove to us that they are just a different class.
MANDEM are going to adjust. They're going to know what's happening, what's coming their way eventually. And there's the move bomb in first. Ooh. Nice, lots of damage there onto the demo. Won't be enough to clean it up, though. Zams will live, and Bruchman can't follow up either as the sentry denies him any quarter. And now it's going to be Forfence trying to make sure nobody gets cheeky on the side of MANDEM, tries to slip in. But Boulder's sniper sight lane is still very dangerous. And if somebody opens that shutter door at the wrong time, it could be a medic without a head very, very quickly. So you got to be very careful when you're working against this defensive sniper. That's a nasty side lane you can get here as long as you're aggressive.
Still no changes coming through class-wise for Fence. They are just going to chill out. They are going to play with what they know works. And I love the fact that they are confident in that. And I love to see that confidence shining through. But speaking of confidence, here's the shot coming through from Boulder. Doesn't quite land. Will start to back up as they're expecting that jump to come on through. The sentry will get it, but not quite able to kill off that demo. But a lot of damage going through. Will just barely survive. Eventually, the sentry is taken down. I don't think that's enough really for Forfence to push through anything. They don't actually get any kills.
Nah, they don't much. I mean, right now the play seems to be distract the sentry as best you can so you can spam it down eventually with your demo, but I mean, it's not working out well. They're not trying to go back to the drawing board either, though. Everybody's remaining on what they know and just going to keep throwing stuff. Unfortunately for Forfence, though, this is not suiting them at all. Slowing the pace down here and waiting on last all this time. They're down a round. They have to get another one if they want to have a chance at actually taking the map. The longer they waste here, the less time they have to do that. Now 11 minutes is plenty, but it can quickly turn into 6. And then things get a bit tougher as well as the bomb comes through again. Both of these soldiers are directly on the point. I think that was a bit of a pain train play trying to come through there because that's a lot of cap time very quickly.
Yeah, no, I'm loving it. I'm loving the fact that Forfence are willing to try something new, go for something a little bit different, and try and make it happen here. And as you say, they are really just iterating through kind of the different things they have available to them. And it is very difficult. I agree, kind of coming back to the Sisyphean and Tark you were talking about, right? Forfence are very much pushing that boulder uphill, whereas when we see MANDEM winning, they are just rolling it all the way down. Yeah,
they're much more momentum inclined than Forfence are right now, but perhaps this lack of off-classes is also what's given MANDEM a bit of bit of confusion, because every time both of the soldiers die, you see somebody checking on Spy, just making sure no cheeky stuff is going on. Boulder doesn't quite manage to get the shot there that time around. They're still waiting for the bombs to come through. Bruchman again, just keep throwing it at the wall. Maybe it'll stick. Lots of cap time again. They are still rolling. Those pain trains, and Delhi trying to follow it up as well, does get killed. Maybe this is enough to get MANDEM to motivate themselves to push out, but I think at this point they're keen to go for that round reset. With 1 minute left on the clock, there's little to gain for pushing out the second.
Yeah, I mean, you're 2-1 up. There's not a lot of time left on the clock. No need to mess around. I say that, but they're going pretty darn aggressive here. They really want to get that med, but it doesn't quite happen. Nevo keeping their med alive. A lot of respect for this guy. Brilliant pocket scout, and a big part of why Forfence can hold on to the advantages they get.
It's been working so far, and they managed to get that pick onto Ron's there as well. Maybe that opens things up a little bit. I mean, if they're quick to pounce here, they can actually get some aggression in, and maybe this is just something they want to exchange off of. There's little to lose at this point anyway. It's only a minute left on the clock. You must exchange at some point. You might as well send the Uber in now, see what happens as Delhi just decides to sit himself above the point. Unfortunately, he has been spotted. Won't be able to just kamikaze himself down either. June eventually has to pop the Uber though. It will be out of the equation for MANDEM, and it will be enough to chase out these French players as they have to make their way back to second, and probably further, depending on the aggression that MANDEM wants to put out. But again, there's no point on getting on that point. There's no point in capping. You can get 2 for the price of 1 by just waiting 26 more seconds.
Yeah, I mean, fourFence, I think we're looking to pick up a couple of frags after that, because they still have enough time to make a really hasty push. And if they found something big here, if they maybe got rid of the sentry or something, maybe got forced a change of class, that could have been huge for them, but I just don't think it's going to happen. Brugman, again, they completely denied away by that sentry. They will play it slightly slower, but they've only got 5 seconds on the clock. They've got to be quick. That's a kill, but can they get on point? Can they get enough? They're getting denied away right now. So much damage. They're going to try and cap, but look at that scout just barely hanging on in fourFence. Get it! Just in the nick of time.
Just get people off the point, stick on it as best you can like glue, and you get yourself that second round in overtime. They're making it a match. It's 2-all, and there's certainly anybody's game to play for still on Metalworks. Plenty of time left. It is a match on our hands. MANDEM might have had some momentum to start with, but fourFence have found their stride rather quickly.
Yeah, no, I'm really impressed with what they were able to do there. I really didn't think they were going to get that round at all either. You could hear it in my voice probably. A lot of doubt coming through. But yeah, no, fourFence have started to redouble their effort, started to hold strong, not get pushed over by that momentum of MANDEM. And let's see if they can keep that up here. As again, we're looking for a slow mid, but MANDEM already put some of those players up and looking to get some players going underneath as well.
Yeah, but as a Zam's dead immediately, that's a lot of damage lacking. And if you can keep Mula alive, who's eating a lot of damage, I mean, he's on 9 health for Christ's sake, and still dodging everything as best he can. Rons can't follow up, neither could Inzo as he died as well pretty early on, mind you, before that. But still, a 1 mid for fourFence, and they got momentum on their side now. They have so much more speed to work with here. That second is getting capped off immediately. They're still waiting for respawners on last for MANDEM as well, so you damn well know fourFence are going to try to get in there as fast as they possibly can, directly onto the demo. Brugman can't quite escape with his life. Lots of damage put down on some of these players already. Deli cut off from the rest of his team though, and the Uber is forced out as Unk still got it.
Absolutely, an old man knows old tricks, and that's the oldest trick in the book, getting that force there. Brilliant for fourFence as they set up for this last hold again. They get into the position, they go, all right, well, we've got 5 minutes. Let's go.
Might as well. At this point, if you stall out, well, you're going to a golden cap. Certainly not as quick of an easy finish, but at this point, fourFence, very little to lose. They don't have to have as much initiative. If they can't get away with it right away, okay, do it slow and methodically once more, as they've done last round, and they're going to take that Uber in straight away, I suppose. I'm going to eat my words as they just try to go for the push here, and not fighting much with it, though. It's going to be in this post-fight, and the positioning they can acquire, and right now it's just looking like a dry refight is going to be on the cards, as there's some cap time put down, but both soldiers already dead for the side of fourFence. Only Inzo traded out on the other side. Not going to make it any easier as they lose more and more players. It's only Mula escaping with his scout. Actually, I say escaping. QB's left behind, trying to be a little cheeky hider here, and I don't know if MANDEM are going to be aware of this. Certainly not, but June has spotted him, and he's not going to be able to get much done with that, unfortunately.
Oh, no, it doesn't even get a kill there. Thought maybe they could work that magic. But yeah, no, fourFence a little hasty, I feel, there. Trying to just force that one in. The one thing you have to be aware of here on pushing into Metalworks Analysis is it's actually a lot of space for them to run back. If you can cut them off at spawn, you're great, but you've got to get it over there, and that can be such a pain in the backside. And MANDEM are going to put that start off, going to force you to pop early. It just doesn't come through. Demo taken out as well, and MANDEM is starting to gain what is so integral for them. That momentum.
They're getting the speed up and going. The momentum is building, and this is where they work their magic. Mid is being capped off. The Mole's still going to be out of the equation for a little while longer. Won't get that forward spawn in any chance either. So MANDEM are back in the driver's seat. They have about 5 minutes, a little under 6, I suppose, to try and convert a round of their own, make it before they even get to the golden cap, and this is where they can work really quickly. This is the ones where they can do a lot. Their soldiers have been doing a better job of getting behind on this second than they did on their counterparts. Unfortunately for this time around, Rons is just going to get juggled in the air, won't be able to get much deeper, and it's going to have to be a reset for him.
Yeah, they're going to have to kind of chill out, get some of their health back, and well, send Rons right back on in, wants to catch that.
Was not ready for that.
He's on it like a carb on it, goes wrap around again, tries to get that damage in, but can't quite get the force off of June there, but, sorry, not off June, off Mula there, but will continue to put that pressure on, get that second for their team as the Uber is now used by fourFence to try and catch, but doesn't even get the force. June, nerves of steel.
Very respectable. Probably counted the exact scattergun shots, knew there was not another one coming, and the Uber was going to run out and fade for Nebo eventually, and that's going to be a huge one for MANDEM. Full Uber in store. Scout down as well for the side of fourFence, one player lacking. Unless this QB sniper can work a miracle, get a nice early frag here, that's very important. Nope, that's not going to happen as these players come around the corner shiny. It's going to be MANDEM's push to lose. have to try and grab these players in spawn though, get those frags that they need to. The Mool goes down early, but they trade him out for Inzo on the other side. Hans up on the speaker is not going to be able to do much either, and MANDEM are slowly but surely losing players that they would want in this push, and with the numbers dwindling and the heavy getting tanked up on the point, it's going to be very hard to convert this push.
Honestly, every time I see these heavy holds on last from well, any Prem team, frankly, it looks oh so strong, and I think this is a map where it's ever so scary, right? Post those kind of Uber scenarios, that's great. Wait, the Ubers come through from inside. They're just going straight on out here just to try and catch.
Inzo's on slide. You're getting
sorry,
on the HUD.
I got baited. I don't know why I was like, wait, Inzo isn't playing there.
Yeah,
I got so confused for a second.
Here? No, Inzo's actually just going to go for the back cap and probably get away with it too, because forFence forgot the oldest trick in the book.
Oh my lord, no way.
And it's a pause. And
That's perfect timing. That's perfect timing.
It's the only time you would want to see it.
You get to see your own mistakes like in full HD. That is actually brutal for forFence. That's a tilter.
That is a tilter. This is something that you don't want to lose to whatsoever, especially in a situation like this. Like, it's so close. You've basically, if you don't have a quick response to this, you've lost the map now. So
yeah,
that's a nasty one. That's probably what the pause is about.
My question is, if they stacked, do they beat this?
It is
That's really
unfathomably
tight.
close. Looking at those counters at the bottom, they're basically neck and neck right now, right? You'd expect that the last point would cap quicker.
Yeah, so I think
And Hans is ready to block as well, so...
Oh, okay. But if you have, like, all your scouts there, you could just, like, kill Haunts before he lands, right?
Yeah, but unfortunately it's only one scout with
true.
an Evo, and he might even eat that rocket if he's unlucky, so...
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be a tough one, and I think this pause is probably for forFence to figure out what went wrong there.
Yeah, no, I think it is, and they've got to learn that quick, as you said. Not very much time on the clock at all, like 3 and a bit minutes, something like that. I can't quite remember. Obviously, the clock still runs while we're playing, so I think 3, maybe 4, based on the pause timing.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, not a lot of time to work with, and as we said, forFence, they take a little bit of time to get going sometimes.
Yeah, they're lethargic, I think, in comparison to MANDEM at least. MANDEM much quicker, much more agile in switching up their style. And look at that, we are going to go straight back into the game, actually. The pause was only a short tactical talk, probably for the French. Actually, it was called by Inzo. Never mind, this was a MANDEM pause, as they're maybe trying to figure something out. Who knows? We'll know, I'm sure, after the match. Our technical team will let us know what exactly the cause of this was, but it doesn't matter because MANDEM are now up around, and it's on forFence to try and find a response in the next 3.5 minutes before they inevitably have to go to the second map, one map down.
I think it might have been MANDEM figuring out what they were having for their victory dinner. As this map does look very locked out for them, and as we said before, this is forFence's map pick, almost certainly. They've been very, very comfortable here, and you know, we're looking to expect them to have success. They get a good frag early on. If they're going to take this, they've got to go quick.
Sit yourself down, kiddo. That's going to be a quick one. Inzo's taken out of the equation. There goes Rons and Hans as well, and I think it's going to be looking like another very, very good mid here for forFence as they keep it rolling forward. Crucially, though, no matter how badly they lose these mids, MANDEM, June is always out. She stays alive, out of the equation. That Uber is still going to be there for them to hold last with, and that's what's been making these MANDEM last holds so strong and so much harder for forFence to bust through. That being said, they're being very aggressive early on, and Deli's going to pay with his life for that. Probably not much of a consequence in that. There's no way MANDEM are going to be really keen to push out and maybe just ruin it all for themselves. They are up around. If they can just stall it out for 2.5 minutes here, they have one Metalworks. So they're going to be taking it slow. They're going to be trying to bunker up and rule this point with an iron fist.
Yeah, no, they are really looking to lock this one out and give no chance over. I mean, forFence, they're in a pretty good position. They've got that, MANDEM are in a pretty good position. They've got that NG set up. They've got everything they would really want. They've got Sniper going as well for Boulder. My worry is that, well,
maybe just gets the angle
just,
here. Nice headshot. Rung off onto Brugman immediately. That's gonna just put them a little bit of a scare. Maybe just a tiny bit of poop game out. Who knows? But nah, Uber's just gonna be pushed on the far side instead as they try to get their push going once more. A little bit of Captain already. Deli up on the lamp this time around. It doesn't look like anybody's actually spotted him, so he's gonna be able to rain down death from above. Ubers are gonna fake. Never mind. June knows about the spot. That's gonna be Deli taken care of, and nothing more happening for forFence here as they have to back out and reset once more.
Yeah, I was hoping that maybe they gave themselves a little bit more time rule. Obviously, they don't have a lot of time to work with, but they have enough to maybe send a sack for Brugman and Demol. Look again for that success that they found. Sure, it's not easy. It's not going to be very manageable in a lot of scenarios, but I think if forFence are going to find this round, that's the way they do it. But now they put themselves in a difficult situation. It's going to be, well, Ubers again, and they have even less time to work with.
Yep, this is going to be probably their last opportunity for this map. If there's any chance for Forfans to convert another round here, take it to a golden cap, it has to happen within the next 60 seconds. Otherwise, things are going to be looking mighty tough for them. Nevo's going to get on a point immediately. Lots of cap time again. The strat has worked for them well before. Get those players on the point. Get them out of their positions. Obviously, it's a better Uber for MANDEM. They've already lost the player with QB going down as well. So this refight is going to have to make it work. And unfortunately, only a frag out to Zam straight out for your own demo isn't really going to cut it with Nevo going down as well. It's slowly but surely crumbling. The house of cards is falling. The chips are being put down, and it looks like Forfans have one last dry push in them to try and convert this round.
The engineer is dead, so that means the sentry will not go back up. I think just barely in time. They might get like a level 2 out if they're quick with it. But I'm not sure if Inzo is going to be over on that one. Still going to be enough time for a chance to push through here. But with Delhi going down instantaneously, Rons is on the job. And that's looking oh so dire for Forfans as Nevo desperately trying to get something in. But Boulder denies. They hold on the point. That was a lot of time. But will it be enough? They jump right on top of the heavy. And Boulder says, no way, mate. You're not having it. And MANDEM, they take map 1.
They're just going to take it off the back of that. There's nothing else to be done for Forfans. They will lose 3-2, and it's all due to a back cap. All due to a back cap. That's the one thing that one MANDEM the map here. And you know what? Sometimes that's what it is. That's all you need. Close map, close game, as close as we probably wanted these teams to be matched. And I guess we'll have to see how it goes on with the next couple of maps as our desk gets ready to analyze and really walk us through what happened with, well, both of those teams there and what they were up to. So we're just going to hand it to them.
Oh.
Okay, in a moment. Never mind. That's awkward. I hate when I do that and it doesn't work, but yeah, that's how it be sometimes. Anyway.
Sorry. I was just a mere misstep. I wanted to be there for the last moments of that game because it looked like it was coming down to the wire here, Stephen.
Yeah, that was a real nail-biter. I mean, all the way to the very final moments of that game. So many opportunities for the Frenchies, but they could not clinch it out, and it is the MANDEM taking the first map there. Obviously, they're all loving Connor. They're tagged up with you. How did they pay you off?
They didn't pay me off, mate. What do you mean? We're great friends. We love each other. And, you know, Coach Condawg helps out a little bit sometimes. You know, he's got a few
Condawg.
secret strats.
What on earth do you commit and give to that team as a coach?
Look, a few whispers. It's just, you know, just nice words, Turbo. You know, they're a team. They're a vibes team.
All right, Coach Condawg. What did MANDEM do wrong that game? It wasn't exactly flawless gameplay. Why was it?
It wasn't flawless, and things were going wrong, but when they do go wrong, they bounce back, Turbo. Rons, he's the kind of guy that's able to move past things. And being the best soldier in Europe, I expect that from him, you know? He's able to say, guys, don't worry, we lost that round. Next mid, let's move on. Let's move past it. We've got bigger and better things to be thinking about. And, yeah, 3-2, absolutely great match. It was a bit, you know, a bit tense towards the end. A couple of trades coming out from the Frenchies onto last in the dying seconds. But yeah, they made it stick. They made it work. And moving on to map 2.
Stephen, you know, join me in the little bit of MANDEM hater for a moment. I mean, this is their map pick, and it's a scoreline of 2-3. They were brought to their last point at the mere moments. Don't you look shocked at me? I'm adding some balance to this. You're going to fanboy, well, I'm going to hate. Stephen, come, join the dark side. Tell me that map was not convincing to say it was their map pick.
I mean, I actually thought it was a Frenchie's map pick until you said it there. So, yeah, that's something to say for sure. It looked good for a little
take
bit.
That, MANDEM fan.
It looked good for the first 50 minutes of the MANDEM. They looked like they knew what they were doing, and then they just had sat on their last. Anyone can do that. The dogs can do that, and they're out of the tournament. So if all they can do is sit on last for half the time, are they really that good? And I mean, when the Frenchies are just bombing point, they're trolling, they're jumping Delhi up into the skybox constantly. They're not even trying, man. That was a pity round.
All right, Condawg, in the sake of balance, I'm going to get you to have your opportunity to defend MANDEM here for their upcoming map. It is going to be the pick of Forfans. It's Snakewater. How are you feeling about a map like Snakewater?
Well, as you saw on that last map, they were able to hold that Metalworks last, and hold it they did. The thing is, they didn't crack. They didn't break. Sure, they lost a couple of rounds.
Didn't they break like twice?
Yeah, that's twice. That's twice. The Frenchies, they broke 3 times.
What was a spy?
Turbo, the Frenchies, they had so many more opportunities in the MANDEM. The MANDEM, they make it stick. They make it count when it needs to. All right? And going into Snakewater, famed for being just its defensive capabilities. We saw yesterday the Mac versus Witness game. Witness, supposedly the best team in Europe, they couldn't crack it. They couldn't crack it. You think the Frenchies are going to crack the MANDEM on Snakewater? Turbo, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
All right, I'll give you that. Not Stephen. I know I'm kind of asking a difficult question here because not many teams have managed to answer this properly. Witness couldn't answer this, but what do you do about this pesky last? What is the game plan? You just not deal with last? Just win at second?
I mean, just kill their medic. Just go in with Faluba advantage. It's quite that simple. Kill their medic on mid. Keep yours alive. Bish, bash, bosh. Get into last. Hit every shot. Kill the sentry gun. Trap off a spawn door. Get on point a little bit. Get some cap time. Like, what more do you need, man? And I think they've got it here. I think Ron's, he's going to come in on every mid, do his silly little high bombs, feed straight away. And then, the rest of the French squad, well balanced. They're going to get some kills. They're going to get that medic, going to win the trades. It's just simple. It's just simple. Just don't go to last on even Ubers. And if you do, snipe.
My conversion of a MANDEM hater has gone brilliantly, or much better than I expected. Condawg, these mids that we've been seeing from the Metalworks, they were struggling a little bit on MANDEM. There was a lot of pressure, a lot of spam being thrown their way, and it seems like sometimes they just get a player nicked during all of that. Is this going to convert like that over on a map like Snakewater, or do you think it's going to not really come down to spam so much on Snake?
Turbo, I mean, sure, you're correct. They were struggling a little bit. But what is the main point? They were always able to cut their losses. June would be out of there. She'd be alive every single time. It didn't matter. We'd get back to last and we'd hold that. We'd hold for the last 5 minutes. Sure, we cracked after 5 minutes one time. But you know what I'm saying? They hold last. They're good at it. Mids, it's not the... People seem to think it's the be-all, end-all of TF2. It's not. It's the transition phases. It's how you can move around the map. And that's what the MANDEM are good at. They're good at just moving together as a squad. Rons, Haunts, they're lightning across the map. They're always going to be catching these little Frenchies with their silly little high bombs. They're going to be all over them. And Snakewater, it's one of these maps, especially second. The soldier bombs, the creativity you can do. There's so many different doorways. You've got cheese, you've got Africa flying in through the window. Rons and Haunts are going to be all over Moolah. It's going to be like a rash, Turbo. Just watch it.
That's if they make it to the other team second.
Steven. My. Anyway,
you told me to come to the dark side.
Now, obviously, ForFence, they're back. They're playing with Brugman. They obviously had a little bit of round one with playing with him, and now this is round two. This is where the serious games are going. Do you feel the impact of the Brugman? Is he like actually turning up? Do you feel like he's having his moments here? Or is it like a neutered version?
I mean, they're definitely cooking a little more. I will say the going to point 3 times double soldier bomb with pain train is not a play I've seen before. And I was like, who do I think cooked this up? And I was like, it's got to be Bruges. He's like the only one who could have cooked that up. And hey, he's cooking in the kitchen. His pot's been stirred. It didn't work out, but it's that creativity. I think that's the big difference is, when things maybe aren't quite going right, nothing's working, you haven't pushed last for the third, Uber advantage in a row. Okay, what can we do? Yeah, and I think that's where the Bruges comes in with a little bit of that creativity. So I think that's his big thing. And he did go like 2-10 for half that game though, so that was a little bit stinky.
All right, Condawg, let's drop the teams for a second. Let's, ceasefire, a little peace in this thing. And let's just talk the regular TF2 for a bit. Let's get, round table, minds thinking here. Breaking down this last points. We saw a little bit of Metalworks. Everyone always goes for the big objectives. It's like spamming down the sentry gun or going for these med forces. ForFence, they have a different philosophy. It's more like what can they just find that's like easy to digest? Like what's like an easy kill for them? And they would just throw people in, and if a demo man landed in front of them, or if a scout landed in front of them, if 2 soldiers landed in front of them, they'll just take that and then take it from there. Is this a better like foundation for breaking down like a last hold than just these very cut and dry, we'll try and force the medic, we'll try and, just take the Uber away?
So I think what it is that they make it easy for themselves. You say they're taking the easy route, but it's more that they have this space theory, okay? I'm going to give you a little bit of insight into the minds of the French, okay? You pressure every door. You don't try and pile drive 5 people through the door when you pressure cooker in. Pressure cooker in? Pressure cook in?
Pressure cooker in, that's in the dictionary.
Cooker in. Write that one up. it's all about the space theory. Even if someone has to leave and then come back in through another door, that's what they do. It's all about taking the space, making people have to look around as much as they possibly can. And they make it easy for themselves. It's not that they're taking the easy route. It's more that they're like tag teams. You know, they're buddies on the battlefield.
What's the weakness of such a play style or going for this sort of method? Is it difficult to pull off?
Well, it's more that you spread a little bit thin sometimes, and that's they're so good at their timings, I think, is the main thing. You know, you've got Nevo, he's sort of pulling eyes somewhere with the beam, but he doesn't actually have the beam. Maybe Bruno's got the beam lower. You know, you've got to keep track of where people are during this. When you've got monsters like Deli, Bruno, Demol, these guys, they're going to be exploiting the doorways that aren't watched, and they're going to be flying in before you know it and really creating opportunities for the rest of the team, I think.
Stephen, when we've been watching these two teams, are these two teams just like a unique little snowflake in their gameplay, or do you actually see a lot of elements of their games outside of them in these other LAN teams at all? Like, or are they just truly kind of, you know, innovating the game at this LAN?
I mean, I think every team takes little bits and pieces of, you know, kind of the metas that happen. We always see slightly different things being favored and not being favored, some things that work, some things that don't. I mean, obviously, it's a slow progression. And we were talking every 4 years.
All right, whoa. I hear 3, 2, 1. I think we're going live. Straight to our casters. Go, go, go.
It's that straightforward. We're going straight into the game. The gamers are keen. They want to go, and it's going to be Snakewater as their second map for ForFence and MANDEM. MANDEM coming out on top in the first one, but they'll have to repeat it once more if they want to get a straight route to the upper bracket finals, or if they want to have a chance at maybe coming back. ForFence should show themselves up on this map instead as the mid-fight. They're starting like a Snakewater mid-fight does, just a little bit slow. Teams pushing and seeing where they can get a little bit of ground, just a bit of spam, and a soldier bomb coming eventually as soon as they're ready for the opportunity, I think.
That is certainly an opportunity, as already Demil trades at 1-4-1. They don't get many key picks here coming through. They don't take down any of those demos or anything, but they do take down a couple of players. June has, sorry, I thought you'd be pointing out something there in particular there, but yeah, no, a lot of pressure going onto these meds, but not quite going in just yet. The high ground in control of MANDEM as they start to lock this one out.
Yeah, slowly but surely they find the more important frags. Eventually, Boujman gets taken down as well, and it will be enough to get MANDEM on top of this mid-fight, and it will be enough to force ForFence back to second. Crucially, though, neither team really losing too badly on that mid. Just a couple of frags, which means ForFence gonna have a pretty easy time trying to hold onto the second as well. And it looks like MANDEM are opting for the grass route here, going on the low ground, seeing if they can just bully their way in, take some space, and see where they can go with that. And so far, their soldiers are trying to use that diversion to get above. Unfortunately, Hans just gets directed straight in the face from Boujman, and it's not going to be much more than that, as Boulder's actually dangerously low as well, escaping with the rest of his team. So they have to make sure they recollect themselves and probably, well, prepare for some sort of ForFence counter sack here.
Yeah, got to be very careful about that. Boujman and Demil, I mean, I've seen them play on this map before. They have some pretty exciting routes and often find some pretty astounding things as well in terms of getting just a couple of players here and there and managing to make it out. So very safe players always understand their way out of a situation, and that's key for what makes them so successful as soldiers.
As it turns out, though, this time around, they're being a bit more careful with it. They're willing to let this stalemate simmer for a while and see what MANDEM want to throw at them. Perhaps instead of taking the initiative yourself, see what your enemy does, see how they maybe mess up and screw up some way that you can profit off of instead. And, well, I guess MANDEM are willing to take the opportunity. They're slowly making some space here, seeing if they can buff up their soldiers, give them an opportunity to just come crashing through some sort of doorway. Ron's definitely wants that full buff as much as possible. Hans obviously also looking to go through the windows that gets directly on top of Mula. Unfortunately, 2 scouts are there to just hover him in midair. Anti-air deployed. Nothing happening for you, bud.
Yeah, unfortunately catches way too much flak there, and ForFence are very, very happy to just chill out, make sure nothing happens, and again, just settle into the rhythm of the game where they're happy to move forward one at a time. Now, we were talking about on the desk that MANDEM are particularly good at finding those junctures in between points and moving between them. ForFence are brilliant at holding on to those points, making sure they don't lose too much, and then from there, bouncing things back, getting an opportunity, and then rolling it forward as much as they can.
To see if they can actually do that, though. Right now, they've just been staring each other down, sending us into a soldier and maybe a bit of spam. And it's got to be some initiative taken here, as the Mole is going to go dangerously low, trading damage with Rons, but both of them live for now. It's just a Boujman up on the high ground on the pipe, raining down raining down hell on this saw side for MANDEM, who are really trying to find just a little bit of ground to work with, but these soldiers giving them no quarter. I mean, Ron's is so far forward, they're eating so much damage, but he's just gonna have to back off again, and with Zam so low as well, it's not like there's much backup to help out for the time being. It's just a very, very slow. I'm surprised, honestly, Snakewater's second stalemate, because this doesn't happen all that often.
No, normally, I mean, teams like MANDEM are just able to crack this one right open, but fourFence, as I said, really good at holding strong on these positions, and there are a lot of benefits to the positions you can play on here on this second. You've got to be very careful. Boulder gets a little too uncareful, unfortunately, and slips, falls, and gets exploded.
I just didn't quite check that corner, unfortunately. Sometimes you just walk into a sticky trap and, well, it's not enough for fourFence to really decide, yeah, let's move on that, but it certainly makes MANDEM reconsider their choices. Hans tries to get across again. Nice rocket onto the scout. Unfortunately, that's all she wrote. Immediately shut down once more. And I think without the scout eating that rocket for Mula, it could have actually been quite dangerous, because if there was some follow-up there, Mula could have been close to having to force or even drop, was he not prepared enough. So nice get down Mr. President type deal.
Yeah, I mean, fourFence really want to keep this Uber for the next minute and a half. They want to just lock things out, go back to mid, replay that mid, and well, get an advantage from there. I think very sensibly, fourFence not giving up any inch, no quarters for MANDEM right now, as Boulder is checking and setting their team up for what likely is one of the most core pushes they're going to try really make here, because they've not got a lot of time left. They might as well go for it.
You might as well try something, see what sticks, and give yourself 5 more minutes to try and get into last instead, as the Uber is finally popped out of the side of MANDEM. Obviously, the response comes out of fourFence as well, and positioning is a lot better here for MANDEM. They're in so deep already, with Boulder and June chasing as far as they can. They find some frags on the players that aren't in the Uber, but the collapse comes through for fourFence as well. They just nuke almost everybody. It's Zams escaping with June, and Mula alive with his demo on the other side as well. Unfortunately for them, Brugman is also there, so it's not like MANDEM could chase whatsoever, and they actually have to be careful, because Brugman is on the hunt, perhaps.
Yeah. I mean, fourFence are brilliant, right? The fact that that started off with MANDEM finding a good couple of frags with those soldiers, and off the back of Zams getting a really far and aggressive position with Boulder, that looked really good, but it didn't mean anything in the end, because fourFence struck right back. They had Delhi and the gang just blowing up MANDEM as they tried to come on in, and unfortunately this advantage hasn't led to too much, but Rons wants to make a difference as they get behind.
They get in once more, try to see how much ground they can grab here. Unfortunately though, it's just getting shut down. The flank from MANDEM can't do anything either. Hans is in behind, but he can't do anything from that position. And we're seeing a round reset. I'm sure the Americans in chat are furious right now that we would go for a round reset on second, but this is how the teams play. This is the level of TF2 we're at here, and neither team getting a decisive mid-win means neither team is really keen to commit too much to that second. So we're going to go straight back to the mid-fight instead.
Welcome to Snakewater, buddy. Take your sensitive ass back to Reckoner. I'm really excited to see how this mid is going to go again. Obviously, the last couple of minutes weren't the most exciting. They were a lot slower, but that's how fourFence can play here on this map. This is why they're just in that comfort range. They're just swinging, going for exactly what they need. They don't have to overextend. They know this is where they can get their advantage, and their mids can be very solid. Just give them the opportunity to do so. Quick bomb coming through, looking to put that pressure on the back line. Sam very far forward, gets good damage down. They do come out ahead in terms of players, but the positioning's not amazing for them. They have to send some of those soldiers right on back. fourFence holds strong for now, but they're losing a couple of players who are too over-aggressive, and you know that Boulder sees that. He smells the blood in the water, and with Horns moving forward as well, and the rest of this team looking for it, you know MANDEM are able to find these advantages and even get onto second quickly. Horns is right there.
Them will be able to keep his medic safe from Hans here, and unfortunately does not. That was such a beautiful, coordinated aggression onto Mula as well. It wasn't just one rocket or 2 rockets by Hans. There was a lot more going on to pressure Mula into using his Uber there, and that is an Uber out of the equation for fourFence. A much more decisive win for MANDEM, albeit a slower one on the mid, and this is going to be a much better opportunity for them to try and roll it forward. And Nevo is picking up the rifle for this Snakewater second hold this time around, and well, if MANDEM aren't ready, if they're not looking out for this and going through lower, which they don't appear to be wanting to do, they're taking the saw side instead, they might catch themselves with a head shorter. Unfortunately though, Nevo's just going to get shut down immediately. Demul actually has to pay with his life for Ron's being so aggressive, and the entirety of MANDEM are pushing him back so far, trying to see how much they can do with this free Uber in their pocket and just get them straight back to last instead.
Yeah, no, I really like this from MANDEM. Again, they see an advantage and they know that fourFence are going to go, okay, we can't lose out on last here. We have to back up. They said runs forward. Runs will try and find those opportunities now. But Horns is in position as well. Can try and do that as well. Gets the force. The headshot onto Boulder is great. Yeah, they killed Horns, but it doesn't mean anything. fourFence are now stuck in this last with no Uber. And Juice is sitting there smiling. I know she's got that devilish grin on and going, all right, it's go time.
We're ready to go for whatever, and it's going to be on forFence to get this hole up and running as quickly as you possibly can. Get that sentry down. Make sure that this is a fortified Snakewater last. Because even with an advantage like this, Snakewater is the hardest point to push in TF2. It is going to be a lot of work for MANDEM, even with a full ad, to get through a very, very well-established defense. And the faster they move here, the better of a chance they actually have to get in quickly. They got to make sure they don't fall to the sniper either, though. Nevo's got his eyes on that shutter, and he's looking for somebody to not be shiny. Unfortunately for him, nobody is. They just rotate over, try to shut out the spawn. That's Deli taken care of. No demo now to sticky up the point. So the point pressure is going to come through sooner rather than later for forFence, especially with less and less players on their side to defend it. And it's starting to look like, unless that heavy can really turn the tides, MANDEM are coming out on top of this fight ever so slightly. Slowly but surely they will whittle down the players, but Mula just gets his Uber in time to protect the point at the very least.
Yeah, they are going to eventually finish off this scout, but June has that Uber advantage now. And forFence, they can't make their way out of it. Samus is going for it. A little opportunistic, but that's the thing we love about MANDEM, right? They see these chances and they go, okay, well, it's go time. Let's try and take as much as we darn well can. I think forFence making the right choice here is because they know they've got their Uber to side. They have to take second.
They absolutely have to buy themselves some time, buy themselves some ground, and I'll try to get their Uber up as quickly as they possibly can as well. They're behind a bit, but if they move fast enough, they can get it quickly enough as well. If they can slow MANDEM down, maybe QB can make the sniper play work instead, and MANDEM, they're a bit careful. They don't want to peek anything too early. They know there might be a forFence player hiding somewhere because they know that that Uber ad is in play, and the sniper angle once more for Cheese doesn't quite get the shot off onto June though, and that was probably the crucial one he needed. QB's not going to get that one. The Uber comes out for MANDEM, and the rest of forFence are scattered back to last, try and buy themselves another opportunity at holding this. Now with full Uber though, I think MANDEM are going to be having to wait a while before they try just even attempt to get into that last point.
That's the thing, right, is you look at that second and you might go, oh, Bruchman died, oh, whatever happened. But the Uber using there from MANDEM is so key to what forFence did. So it was actually really good for them. Neva going down, not so great, but, you know, there's enough time for Neva to get back on up. No sentry at the moment.
Yes.
They will eventually swap on over to it, but it could easily get spammed down. Already in, Bruchman is down, and MANDEM see the fact that they're lacking a player. They go, okay, well, let's just go for it. Even though the Uber's there, we can maybe get a force.
Yeah, they can just use the Uber, force them out to try and protect the point with, and Boulder's just dancing on top of them, getting around with just not dying at all. Only 2 scouts left for forFence, and now make it 1 with Nevo nowhere near the point. MANDEM will take themselves the first round of Snakewater, continuing tradition of the first map, but it took them a while longer to get there.
This is this is the sign of a really smart team, as MANDEM are so brilliant at looking for those chances. Haunts gets in, makes something happen, finds the opportunity, and even though they're not the Uber rad, they can still find the positioning, get control of something. And they knew that kind of forFence were kind of tilting on foot. They didn't quite have control over the positions they wanted. They were lacking a player. They were trying to get their sentry up. They knew that there was a time that they could use to go for it, and they just went for it. And I think that's what's been so key to their mids and been so key to their last pushes that have been so successful.
Let's see if they can continue this tradition for the next 18 minutes and keep themselves in this for a nice, quick 2-map victory, or if forFence find a response. Big high bomb by Haunts early, unfortunately doesn't amount to much, and the Mule dying on the other side as well. But Deli crucially goes down again, and Mula is dangerously low as well, having to back off a while, which means the rest of forFence are completely out of position. QB gets caught, and the rest of the team are already well out of there, out of harm's way, trying to salvage whatever they can with whatever positioning they can get here, because MANDEM are on the chase once more, and it's looking like another opportunity for forFence to, well, flex their last holding muscles a bit more, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, they've been flexing them for the last at least like 7 minutes out of the timer that they've been looking at, so a little bit more, you know, wouldn't hurt. And I think forFence can hold it out if they set things up properly, if they get that engineer going, but it's no dice. They're not going for that at all. They're actually got Kubi over on that spy, checking, and is so far forward, honestly, that they might just be using the spy and looking for a backstab.
I think they're committing to the spy play. QB on the slow spy play as well with the cloak and dagger, seeing if he can get himself into a position here to really turn the tides as Inzo is up on the sniper, but he might have seen something flicker. He seems a bit suspicious of that round. Maybe QB overextending himself a little bit. Maybe some cheat accusations will be dropped, who knows, but he's going to commit to that sniper angle for now instead as Haunts goes down. This is going to make them back up directly into that knife from QB. Beautiful backstab. June was not ready for that one that time around, and that is going to make a wide open door for forFence, unless Enzo can get that shot off. Can't get it that time, buddy, but that's dangerous. You got to be ready for that. You can't just have your medic cross so aggressively. And with Bruchman going down as well, they're quickly losing what could be a nice battle here for them. They're losing some players that could be crucial for them to get out onto second, and they're taking their sweet time, really getting the ground they want to here. They're being careful now, but Forfen's taking very long to get something done. It means Ron's can just slip right through Cheese, and he's going to go for the last play. Yeah, actually, they get the force too. Oh my god, this is actually horrible for Forfens. They have to go back to last. And it's not looking great. Not looking great at all. Matter of fact, Mula might just be caught as well, and it's just crumbling.
Oh, they actually do find Mula. They trade it for the demo. There are worse things you can be trading for, but with only 2 players, it's not looking so hot for Forfens. They're going to try and keep a player on there, but Hinso's just like, I know you're low, buddy, and I hit those 50s.
That's all you need. It's enough damage to clean up, and he's just going to commit to going forward further, because at this point, who's stopping him? There's nobody spamming the doorways. If he can just get an aggressive angle here, and they almost get a shot onto Mula again, this is dangerous. You got to get that sniper shut down immediately, and they do. Forfens hanging in there by a thread, but for how long? Look at the advantage that June has right now. Look at this massive difference in Uber charges. This is MANDEM just waiting for another chance to get in, and it looks like they want to make sure they're not going to cross any sniper sight lines or anything like that before they have to. QB back in the spawn. That shutter door, well, that's going to be where they're going through once more, but everybody's flashing. Nobody can die. Never mind, Rons gets caught with a headshot. He was not in the Uber, but is it going to be enough to turn the tides on this last hold? Maybe. I mean, Evo's up on the Putus as well, laying down a lot of damage, and there's no positioning for MANDEM to follow up with whatsoever.
Yeah, as you said, not able to settle on that right-hand side where they really want to try and get something with that Uber in terms of positioning. They don't need to get necessarily all those kills, but if they can get control, then they can start to really emphasize themselves. QB even catches Horns, still looking for something a little bit cheeky there, and, well, we're really just looking at a couple of players getting cleaned up from MANDEM right now. Forfens, they need to start pushing forward. They need to start getting a couple of advantages and actually knocking on the door of MANDEM right now, because otherwise, this 1-0 victory, I mean, we've seen many a Snakewater scoreline like this.
Yeah, no, that's nothing unusual at all, but Forfens want to make it different. They want to actually get a bit of momentum on their side, get themselves moving forward. That big Uber now on the side of Mula. Obviously, June's been building, and that advantage is going to disappear sooner rather than later, but it has bought Forfens 2 entire points and another opportunity to maybe get themselves on the other side of the map for once, as they're going to try to get into MANDEM second. It's the first time this map they have been this far ahead on anything, so it's going to be interesting to see how they try to approach these pushes now, because they have not been put in a situation where they had to so far, and they have to deal with what MANDEM have to do with their holds as well.
Do indeed. Forfens starting to chill out, get some of those health totals up. Evil takes a lot of damage, doesn't go down importantly, does get that arrow, a lot of pressure onto lower from MANDEM. Doesn't achieve too much just yet. Again, kind of Forfens looking at their options, discussing, well, how are we going to go about this? Because MANDEM have a pretty good hold too.
Yeah, they're no slouches whatsoever, and Forfens being this more defensive team, this isn't the situation that they ideally want to be in. They want the enemy to push into them and then profit off of whatever mistakes they can make or whatever holes they can bounce back from. So trying to take the initiative, not their complete comfort zone. Now, well, looking for some trades that might go their way would also help them, but again, it's not quite working. Demul caught on the door frame, but well, maybe he'll still get through anyway. Not just a little bit of damage onto Hans before he gets shut down eventually, and now this gives a bit of initiative to MANDEM. Maybe, just maybe, Enzo was feeling himself for a second, but he's going to reset. They're up around. They got no reason to really push too much, and they're just going to hold back. Just take a chill pill. At the end of the day, they're up around. Why risk anything, right?
Yeah, I mean, at times, right, you've got to gamble. You've got to go aggressive on some difficult situations to try and make this game happen.
Boulder
like they're
just
doing
runs
right now.
forward.
They see an opportunity, and they jump on it.
Boulder just runs in, deals a boatload of damage to the demo. There's the follow-up by Rons as well, directly onto Mula. 1-2 rockets. That's a nice little drop out of Mula. That's what he's known for. Maybe a bit too confident in his team that time around, and he pays with not just the Uber, but the rest of his team falling as well.
Yeah, and I really like that, right? If we're talking about folding, right, they wait for the right opportunity to come around, fold all those bad hands, and then MANDEM, they see an opportunity, they go for it. Demul off the board as well. Forfens beginning to falter. MANDEM are really in that comfort zone. They are playing exactly how they want to.
They have been turning up to LAN. They've been stepping up their game. And even though people have been saying this is a weaker MANDEM roster, they don't have all their star players that they've had in seasons online and past. Clearly, doesn't really matter that much. They're still showing up anyway. QB now with the sniper angle again. Gets the shot he needs, though. That's a drop out of June on the response. Nice little clean up onto Rons following that as well. They do find Deli eventually, but crucially, QB keeping his team in this. Now they just have to make sure the sec doesn't get capped, or at least doesn't get stay capped for too long, because MANDEM are still under pressure. They want to get back onto this Forfens combo. They want Mula at any cost, and Nevo is having a word with it.
Yeah, managing to keep their teammate alive for now. At the very least, they're starting to step forward. Look at how many players there are. Quite close. Got to be a little bit worried. Horns chooses to, I think, very sensibly not commit there. And MANDEM will start to back up once again. But I don't think they're giving a lot of space, a lot of room for fourFence to really breathe.
Yeah, and for once that sniper play actually working out as well. They tried it many times through Cheese, and that time it worked. As the Uber comes out of fourFence, Zams very well does get caught by it, but he will probably also be the only one, as there's a lot of pressure from the backlines here, with these soldiers from MANDEM just slipping through the cracks. They do eventually clean up Hans. They do also have to worry about the rest of their team dying, though, because it's only QB and Mula left alive, and all that scrambling. Turns out the DM was on MANDEM's side, and the Uber, well, didn't really get much more than a demo.
Yeah, no, doesn't find much at all, and that's just a disaster scenario for fourFence. They wanted to try and make some push going, but get something for their team right now, but instead they squandered it. It comes up snake eyes. They don't manage to win that gamble, and MANDEM just looking at it and going, well, we knew we were going to win that anyway. They have confidence, and confidence is king here, as we've seen MANDEM time and time again look at a certain situation and go, well, we just win that. We don't care that we're down. We're going to find something massive. They look at the right-hand door. They look again at this point as that timer is just ticking on. Our players jump on in, but it's just not there. fourFence can't box them out at all. It's just not happening.
We're into a pause this time around. I would not be surprised if this was fourFence trying to recollect themselves a little bit, find what has been going wrong, because they have been looking quite shaky so far on this Snakewater map. We're 20 minutes in now. They're down 2 rounds on their own map pick, something that they were probably rather confident about, you know, doing better on. So I guess we'll have to see. This is another replay of a beautiful QB spy play. Perfectly timed. They back right into him, not ready for it whatsoever. And it's playmaker, man. He's been the playmaker. Look at these, are all just his clips. He's the playmaker right now, man.
It's great to see, honestly, to have QB like just finding so much success. I've been really impressed with on the whole with pretty much everyone this LAN. We've been seeing great individual plays, and I think it's great to see a player who I don't often focus on, right? Like, I think that the scouts of fourFence is somewhat underrated. I think that Nevo is absolutely brilliant, for example. I think he's one of my star players in my heart. But QB as well, I think, is sometimes often overlooked and has really shown, I think, on LAN that he's a force to be reckoned with. His DM is brilliant. His game sense is actually really integral to finding opportunities for their team when those soldiers can't necessarily get anything going, especially when we get stalemates like where you see a soldier jump in and it's like, well, how are they supposed to do anything, right? The player kind of worming their way and finding something integral for their team is QB.
Yeah, he's been making the work for fourFence, and it's a tough situation because they have been looking very solid, but just making these mistakes, I feel. There's been like a couple of mistakes here out of fourFence where like this push, that what just led to this round being lost, right? The push out just completely going south immediately. That Uber way too ambitious, not catching anybody except Zams, and then immediately getting absolutely spit roasted by their flank right after. It, you know, like these are the mistakes that probably led to this pause. That's probably why they're giving themselves a little bit of a timeout right now to try somehow get something going. Yeah, it is a fourFence pause indeed. So. Yeah, I guess we'll have to see how they readjust themselves, because I think they need to like just degauss, just ground yourself, see where you stand, see what's going wrong, figure it out within the next 5 minutes that you have, 3 minutes now because it's already been paused for 2, but yeah, see what's going right.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, degauss up, get that French spirit going, look for that comeback. I mean, we saw them on map 1, right? They were 2-0 down. Things were looking with peaky. Yeah, they lost that map. Let's not talk about it. It was down to that spy play. But I think they can make this comeback. They've got 10 minutes to make it happen. That can be difficult in Snakewater, but we've also seen these roles kind of happen, right? And I think both of these teams are very capable of that. Find the right opportunity. If we can see a little bit more support for Delhi is the thing I'm looking at right here. I think
Guy's
there's
a lot
so
right now.
many times that Delhi's just gotten caught and died, and it's like every mid. It's really frustrating, I think, for Delhi as well in that position, because he's trying to push that damage, knowing they're looking for it. But when you're competing with players like Zams and with all the pressure that Rons and Haunts have been putting out, man, those guys have been absolute French kiss. Chef's kiss is what I was looking for. Wrong word entirely. It's got that Freudian.
Well, one of them is French, so I suppose it does work.
But yeah, no. I think if we see a little bit more towards that, those mids might start to go their way, and then they can start to actually play the game like they want to. I feel like they've just been hampered at every single turn by MANDEM. And honestly, I think MANDEM actually looks so good together here in LAN, and they've looked more confident with every game I've seen from them. I've seen a couple of the games from behind, been watching them. It looks good.
Well, we are continuing, and we'll see if Forfeits can get their King Deli, the exact king treatment that he needs, just like in chess. He might be a powerful and most important piece, but at the end of the day, he cannot do everything by himself. He needs everybody else to back him up in some capacity, so perhaps Forfeits have figured out now what the strategy is. They've done their baguette talk. They know exactly what needs to be done. And we've heard the French obscenities being thrown around in that room up there. We probably heard it all the way down here in the audience hall. But the next mid-fight is underway. MANDEM up 2 rounds, 10 minutes for Forfeits to turn things in their favor, or it's down to the lower bracket for them. And another opportunity has been missed to just get straight to the finals as the mid-fight is a bit slow. Hans gets into kitchen immediately, and that's QB and Deli again taken care of immediately. And there's the rest of the team crumbling. Both soldiers taken down. Nevo running out his medic once more, and they are already being cut off.
Oh man, and this is MANDEM 101. See an opportunity, take an opportunity. Almost get the med there. I think it's just about making it out, but a player drops in and Evo disappears instantly.
And Mula might die as well. Runs, if he hits this one rocket, that could have been it.
Oh,
Unfortunately, he doesn't, but one shot, one opportunity, missed it that time, but still, Mula is so out of position now. They're back on last, and again, they have to hold this with 9 minutes on the clock. You're down 2 rounds, you're on your own last. You have to find something here. You can't just hold, you can't just go for the round reset. You have to go, and there's already an Inzo into last, just being a bit of an annoying little mosquito. They take care of him immediately. They do take care of that, and they push out into second here because they have to take this exchange, which is obviously going to be a little bit better for MANDEM to start with. They pop a little bit later, they have to flash a little bit less as well, and then this post-fight, it's going to be down to the positioning. Will the MANDEM soldiers and backup come in? Will the Forfeits backup come in instead? Who will be able to come out on top right now? Nobody's dying. Remul will be the first to fall, but that's about it. The cap is being, meanwhile, just done on the back cap. Hans almost slips through with that one, and they find a couple more frags with Deli and QB getting cleaned up. Looks like Forfeits. The dominoes aren't all in their favor so far.
Nah, not at all. They had good positioning, but with the player behind, with all that pressure, they just have to leave. It's not going to go their way. Will jumps forward to try and contest to buy their team some space and time as the combo jumps forward as well to try and fight them off. June gets out, as she is wants to do. She sees a bad situation, goes, I'm not just doing that. You know, 94%, I think, sorry, 64, I can read it in 6. 64% in hand. They're going to be able to match at least some of that. Horns jumps in, tries to make it happen, but there were sticks awaiting there for King Deli as he says, no way.
He was ready for that one, expecting it this time around, putting the stickies on the point just in case, and Hans doesn't get away with that one for free. He's gonna have to try to go back to the respawn queue, workshop that one a little bit more, and Forfeits, maybe something to bounce back from. A very dicey situation, a very dicey last hold, but now an opportunity to bounce back on this mid-fight. Will they be able to go for an exchange here? They're already eating a lot of damage early, but so does Zams on the other side, and ideally, they want to not be the first to use, but they're gonna have to heal up for a bit. Just recollect yourself, get yourselves back healed up, and Nevo going down isn't going to make it any easier should the exchange come underway. Matter of fact, Mula gets forced out and just has to escape with his team.
Oh man, time and time again, MANDEM, they push forward, they set the pace, they find their frags, and it's just no dice. Haunts is even over on the Pyro right now, just going for it, feeling it, just getting the reflect. Demu! That's so sad, man, I'm so sorry. You're just getting slapped around by Haunts as they're feeling themselves right now. MANDEM are like, well, let's just go for it, man, it's land.
We're having fun. And the Mole, maybe that number is in his age at the end of the day. Perhaps he does. Perhaps the times are catching up to him, buddy. You don't want to shoot the Pyro. It's a bad idea. As the last hold once more for Forfeits, MANDEM making their push again, and they've seen them do this time and time before on this map. They've got this right side locked down, but they're not finding the frags just yet. They got a lot of damage onto the soldiers, and they're both very low, but they haven't killed anybody. Matter of fact, Hans has died, and the rest of the team is escaping as well. Balder gets mowed down by the heavy, and it's going to be MANDEM having to escape for now, getting back to that second, and Forfeits, knowing they have to at least expect something. Leave a soldier behind, runs for a high bomb onto the combo. Lots of damage, and he has to get forced out of Mula. How does he work it like that so easily every time?
Oh my god, I can't believe it. Every time Forfeits find an advantage, it's denied away from them. Deli gets a nice frag onto the demo. Could mean they could push forward here, but they've got to be
Hans
so
as
careful.
well, no way.
Oh my god, how does he make it happen? Time and time again, MANDEM, go massive.
Somehow, some way, Forfeits keep letting these soldiers get away with it, and you know damn well the demo review, and the discussion after this is going to be how the hell did we let Rons and Haunts get away with all of that stuff? Because they should not be. They should not be getting away with it. There's holes in the flanks that need to be filled desperately. Put some plastic dip or whatever you can in there, because it is not looking great for Forfans at all. Even if they have mid now, they don't have anything to work with Uber-wise. They have to get this early Uber out of MANDEM and then try to scatter as best they can, kite it as well they can. Nobody has to die to this. The Mool, probably a worthy sacrifice at the end of the day. If that's all for one whole Uber, I think one soldier is about as good as it's going to get.
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty decent trade. And Forfans again find themselves an advantage. My question to you is, how do MANDEM completely deny it away again? There's so little time on the clock as well, so even if they find this round, I don't know, they won't have a lot of time left to make it happen.
They have to really find a lot of pace in the next 4 minutes, otherwise they are going to the lower bracket without even seeing the final map of this series. And now this Uber might be the first thing to turn things around. Unfortunately for them, they basically wasted on killing Rons and then missing every single pipe on a Soul Scout. Deli not hitting his stride there. A back cap coming through on second as well. It shouldn't be enough to outcap this midpoint. Haunts, again, just being a sneaky little roamer and actually blocking mid as well. The Uber comes out of MANDEM, so not even that cap can be finished off, as Mula and Nevo are both caught in hell. And it's just falling apart so much for Forfans. We're seeing a team crumble before our very eyes right now.
Yeah, oh man, Brugman jumps in to try and find something, but again, it doesn't even lead to a kill. MANDEM right now are dismantling a lot of the offensive power that Forfans really have. They're just playing sensibly when they know those soldiers are coming, and as much as QB has been trying to like back a lot of that up, it's still difficult to make it happen, especially on a map like Snakewater, man.
Yeah, it's not easy whatsoever, and it's starting to look like MANDEM will be the ones to face. I'm just going to go out on a limb and say Witness in the upper bracket final later this evening.
I'd bet on it, but
it's a good shot. But I don't know. Maybe Witness got upset in the other match, right? I don't know if the blokes have had it in them, but we'll know once this is over. For the time being, though, they're starting to crystallize themselves. Forfans still trying to fight it. Obviously, they have no choice. The Mool, nice little flank to get here onto the medic, but June is just so slippery. Does a little bit of damage, but it's just not enough. He can't get close enough, and he won't be able to do enough. And with MANDEM solidifying themselves here, 3 minutes left for 2 rounds. It's starting to dwindle away. They're going to get cut off as well. Even if they have an Uber here, they have to use it immediately just to escape. Mula will keep his team alive, but there's no counter Uber coming out whatsoever. They're not going to force June off like this.
It's just not happening. She's so happy to backpedal. Her positioning and her awareness of space is so darn good. And MANDEM look at the Uber and go, well, that was cute. Let's show you our own. As they move towards this last again, and MANDEM are looking to just dial it in.
Why change a working system? I can almost guarantee you Nosferatu, they're going to work through that shutter. They're probably going to take the entire right side immediately. They're going to bait Forfans onto the point, and Zams and the soldiers are going to absolutely nuke the ever-loving hell out of it. Brugman going down before they even push is only going to make that ever so slightly easier. And maybe Forfans, knowing the situation there, are starting to be a little bit more aggressive. Unfortunately, Nevo is just going to walk straight into Zams' pipe, and perhaps they do have an opportunity to change the push-up for once, with 2 cracks down now for the side of Forfans. So Brugman is coming back up. Bit of cap time already being wrung out as Boulder just jumps onto the point, and the Uber has indeed come out, with now MANDEM trying to take as much position as they can, and crucially they found Mula, so even if this goes south, they've got a nice opportunity to just equalize it nonetheless.
Yeah, I mean, 2 minutes on the clock now. Uber's down on both sides. Forfans, they're going to get the second. I don't think they're going to get any of those extra players. I mean, this really has been a dismantling, from my opinion, from MANDEM onto Forfans, even though they're going to start to push forward. And it really has been turning, rather than Delhi being cold cuts, into chopped liver. They have completely gutted them in the way they play around their combo, and they've just not given them the space to do so. And Forfans have really struggled with the fact that they've not to get people in the right places at the right times and find those opportunities of their soldiers. You can see now they're trying to put QB and trying to put these players forward, but it's just not finding anything.
So much damage onto everybody on Forfans. Look how low they are. Brugman and Demul both cleaned up again. Ronson behind as well, directly onto the combo. The crits, if it was ever going to be in play, will not come into play. And that's just Delhi left alive as he gets cleaned up once more. 1 minute left on the clock. The time is ticking, or much rather it has already. Forfans are going to the lower bracket. MANDEM are going to the upper bracket finals. And we'll be facing off against the winner of our other match, which realistically is probably Witness. But yeah, that's GG's for Forfans.
Yeah, I mean, that has been absolutely brutal. I mean, honestly, more than anything, I want to say that the analyst desk and, you know, the MANDEM haters, they look like they have egg on their faces right now. They don't know what they were talking about.
They have to defend themselves for this one, because I believe that MANDEM have proven that they might be more than we thought and stocked them up to be, and that maybe forFence are struggling to find their stride ever so slightly tonight. But we'll let the desk, or the couch much rather, talk about that one.
Professional couch here. Welcome to the professional couch. I'm professional TurboTabs. I'm with professional not Steven. Somehow this fanboy made it onto the sofa. We'll start with you, Condawg. Okay, obviously you're feeling quite riveted. Please sing their praises. Tell me what they did right.
Turbo, that was, in my words, a shellacking. That was.
Stealing terms from Dota esports, I see. Shellacking.
Is that what they say? I don't even know.
A shellacking.
Yeah, he's on something. He's on something these days, isn't he, really? Turbo, that was an incredible performance. I was stood behind them the entire time. It was clean. They knew what they were doing the entire time. They just had it in their control. There was never a moment I was in doubt. You know, obviously June dropped twice. I had a couple doubts. All right, but it's Spy, it's Sniper, it's a little bit Mickey Mouse, you know. It doesn't really matter. They don't count. They don't count. And, you know, I've been a MANDEM fan all the way through, until they lose. But I've been a MANDEM fan all the way through, and I'm going to keep being a MANDEM fan. Even then, they have to go and play what I assume is Witness in the upper bracket final, which I believe will be later today. Am I correct in that?
We'll see. We'll
he's
see.
not
We'll
sure.
get to the schedule. But first, you know, let's talk about the here and now. Steven. Okay, so obviously that was the map pick for forFence. Pretty weak, in my opinion. What's going on with that? Do these teams not know their maps, what their strengths and weaknesses are?
Hey, man, sometimes you've got to play to your own strengths, and sometimes it's also the other team's strength. And I think that might have ended up being the problem. Also, they just could not get out of Snakewater last without losing 2 players. Couldn't really get too much going. It was just a bit sad to see. I like the low off classes, though. Kubi dropping June twice was pretty funny. I like the spy play. But yeah, there was just no momentum. There was just nothing they could really play off of. Yeah, after that first mid, I don't know, they were never back in the driver's seat. It was a little bit sad to see, and yeah, I did feel like MANDEM just kind of had them in their pocket a little bit. It was back and forth. We can't deny there was some back and forth, but yeah, Haunts just finding picks here, there, and everywhere, getting medics. I don't know, man. It was rough for the forFence team, but I mean, it's still you say this like it was a 5-0. Right? Like, this was still like a 2-0 close-ish game, went the whole 30 minutes.
3-0, sir.
3-0? Maybe I didn't even watch the end. I was that sad. I was distraught. I didn't want to watch it. I was just scrolling Twitter.
Hysterical.
Crying.
Yeah.
It was bad.
Through the tears, a 3 can look like a 2, I suppose. But, okay, Condawg. So, I know you mentioned earlier on the couch in our previous little segment that mids aren't all that, but it feels a lot like it for this particular map. It felt like poor forFence just could not get a grip on these mids and kind of like start snowballing them out.
Yeah, they were struggling a little bit, but it wasn't just the mids they were struggling on. It felt like they were struggling all across the map, really. There was nothing really too clean. Sure, we had the little off-class
That second
moments.
hold was okay. It was okay.
Turbo, but Turbo, this is the top 3, top 4 teams of European TF2. It needs to be better than okay. It can't be leaky. I don't see Demul dribbly feeding off on the side, you know. I want to see a solid hold. I talked about it a little bit before. Normally, they're playing the space theory. They're prodding every door. But it seems like MANDEM just had their number today, and it's a little bit unfortunate. Maybe Bruno Brushman, of course, is maybe not quite
you know,
up
his
to
buddies
it.
call him Bruno, so no, I get you.
Okay. Maybe it's just not quite up for it yet. You know, it's obviously still his first day of LAN. You know, this is maybe it's fifth game, 6th game?
They've had some scrims here and there, bits and bobs, but
Yeah, maybe it's just not comfortable yet, though, Turbo and the MANDEM, they're... I'm telling you.
I mean, they're looking efficient. I'll give it to you.
Efficient,
you know?
more than efficient.
Yeah.
They're absolutely destroying
Yeah,
these fools.
stylish and all that. But, Steven, obviously, like, this is the upper bracket. This is where serious games are happening. And you've noticed that TF2 is coming to a mighty slowdown now. We're practically stood still at times. Is this what TF2 delves into?
I was so confused what was happening there. I was like, are you looking at someone? Is someone doing something really bad?
I'm telling you in real time that TF2 is slow and it's getting really Robotronic, you know? So
yeah, I mean, we can definitely have slow TF2 at this top level because it is so back and forth and everyone is capable of making those plays that you have to be a bit more methodic. You have to make sure you're checking everything. You have to make sure a player isn't getting behind. There's a lot to worry about. And it's like, how much is your risk appetite? And when the games are this important, I think the risk appetite really gets like as low as humanly possible until you're really on the back foot, right? And then the scrappy struggles start happening, and that's where things start to get a little bit faster. But I think it's just how the game is, right? We've been seeing it for a long time, that the game's slowed down. It's just EU TF2, right? That we like playing slow. We have been cursed. Though we think playing slow is the optimal way. But with the new round timers, well, new round timers, we're only being 5 minutes, it speeds things up a little bit. It makes people need to be a little more proactive at least.
now, obviously, we saw a little bit of chaos, of agents of chaos throughout that. I didn't really see too many happening on the forefence side, but MANDEM, though, they've actually got some ideas. They've got these like kooky little spies to last, bypassing these really slow pushes. That was more kind of on Metalworks, but you also have just Haunts finding his way in like these weird places. Do you need a chaos agent in a team, Condawg?
So,
or can
of
you
course you
operate
do.
without that?
Of course you do. You always need a little sneaky little agent, sneaky little devil on the side, slinking past enemy lines. And that's all due to his jumps. Him and Ron's are two of the best jumpers, I think, in the scene at the moment. You know, Pappy and Hugo, they're sort of the Silentes disciples. You know, they like to hold their flank. They like to check corners, take it slow. Haunts, he's flying through the server. He's going second to second in 2 seconds. You know, he's that kind of guy. And that's what you need. This is what the MANDEM, I think, are going to be very good going into deeper into the tournament. Because they're flowy. They're silky smooth. They're doing these moves I'm doing now. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm just going with it. You know?
Stephen, where are four fences moves? Where are they?
Oh man, it's the arthritis,
who
it's
are
the
they?
old joints, you know. Demul can't quite move his hands the same anymore, you know. They're just struggling to keep up with the
By the way,
zoomers.
I checked out his hands, like you were saying. He doesn't use P to shoot.
Yes, he do.
It does not P for shooting. I was seeing that man. He was using his mouse regular. He only 50% of his setup is jank.
Okay. Maybe it's jump then, because there's something weird going on.
I think it might be push to talk.
No, I think the difference between those two teams and kind of how they play a little more is there's quite a few playmakers on the MANDEM side, but then they've always got that solid combo that just doesn't die. And that's huge, right? Boulder is always with June. I love like just standing behind their POVs because you watch and they're like a unit. Like they are always together in the right position.
Also, Boulder is probably the saintest scout ever. There's no tempting the man. There is juicy kill after kill, but if he's like thinking it goes against the regime, it goes against the plan, you know, he has to like stay regimented and fixed in like just a solid core of the unit. And I don't know, this man does not step out of line.
Yeah, and I think it's the mix of those two factors and the fact they can play and like on a dime just switch to, you know, getting on that play. If Haunts has gone in and done a load of really good damage, they're always so ready just to capitalize on it as much as possible. And I think Forfence, I mean, they have moments of glory like QB getting a couple of really good picks. Sometimes Demul goes in and does work. And sometimes they're really good at doing that as well. But I feel like if they're kind of stuck in that rut, they struggle to like pivot a bit more. But I think MANDEM, that's probably their biggest thing, is they can pivot and play how they need to.
You know, that game was such a treat, and we haven't seen him for a little bit. Why don't we bring up the logs? You know, that power word that brings such fear to our production team. There we go. Oh, no, they're ready for me. They've got it right here. All right, Condawg, is anything jumping out at you immediately from this? We've already sorted it by damage for you, the fun stat, and Zam's towering above the rest.
You know what, Turbo? I'm going to completely bypass everything you just said, because I'm looking at the medic deaths. You know I'm a medic player at heart.
Oh, right.
We see June 4 deaths across the entire server.
Yeah.
You know,
Pretty
that's
impressive.
because I believe, as Stephen has just highlighted, that June and Boulder are the best pairing of scout and medic that we have in Europe currently. I think Thomas maybe individually might be above, you know, Boulder on his own, but as a pair, I think they are just so succinct and together in everything they choose to do. And yeah, I think honestly, June could be one of the best medics in Europe, probably challenging for top 2 alongside Auto. Mula maybe struggling a little bit in this game.
It's not the worst medic separations I've ever seen in the world. To say it's a 3-0, 7 deaths on Mula isn't too bad.
But what you can also see, Turbo, is the difference in style. Mula, can you see?
There's
Can
a
you see?
style stat? Where's
It's
that?
not style, Turbo, but these aren't just numbers. You can read a little bit more into this if you really dig deep. And Mula, with all the assists, it implies he's in the fights more often. He's deeper. He's exposing himself a little bit.
I see.
And when you have soldiers like Ron's, the best soldier in Europe, and that Portuguese legend Haunts, he's dying a little bit more. It's providing more opportunities for MANDEM. And I'd argue the difference in deaths there, 3, might, contribute to the 3 at the top a little bit.
All right, fair enough. Stephen, is there anybody else? Okay, never mind. We'll put them away. Get those stats. No, okay, but Stephen, you've got your opportunity here. It's fine. Now they can disappear at any moment. Quickly, find something you like and one you want to talk about.
Zams. I was watching him throughout that whole game, and I was thinking how solid he was playing. Made such incredible space for his team, was doing so much damage, probably was the playmaker of that game, and just was living in the right moments as well. Really valued his life well.
Look at
Has
that.
had a
It's got
shaky
the most
couple of
kills
games.
per death out of everybody. That's kind of strange to see on a demo, man.
Yeah, you don't always see that. I thought maybe they're going to focus him a lot on this map, but I think he just played around it. He knew what maybe was going to happen, and he got a big 19 kills, big damage.
Look at okay, so Condawg is going straight to the screen like a little toddler, and he's pointing at what we're looking at here, the damage on.
I mean, I like Haunts, but he's doing 163 DPM, and I'm just not happy with that.
Okay, I'm going to let the boy off, right? This is some stalemate TF2, okay? When you're kind of like sitting by watching a door, those doors don't give 3 dams.
But Turbo, look, he's got 23 deaths. He's in all the time. He's making magic happen. Is he missing? Is that what's going on? Is he flying
Space
in?
made.
Of course,
space
there's
does
no
not
meter
need to be
squared.
damaging. It just needs to be created. That's all.
There's no meter squared on the log server, I get it. But I'm going to go upstairs in a minute, and I'm going to have a word with that man, because I'm not happy. Sure, it says 3 at the top, but I want that to be 5.
You're going to give him a piece of man.
I'm going to give a piece of man a piece of damn. That's
No,
exactly
man is on
right.
this side. You don't want to give him dem. That's too dangerous.
That'll be later. Yeah, no, I'm hoping. I mean, sure, he is the roamer. He is the playmaker of the team. But, I want to see a few more numbers from the man. Just a few more numbers. 200, maybe.
All right, how about this for numbers? Let's see how much time you've got to talk to your buddy Haunts, as we'll bring up the schedule, and then we'll see what we've got ahead of time and how much time we've got to work with here. Fortunately, this is MANDEM is the favorite admin team because they brought so much time to them, the poor admins, and we're back on schedule. Lovely. So our next game is going to be the lower bracket round 2. If I use my squinto
okay,
vision,
Taylor?
it's going to be
Can you
Venom
read that
Crest
one,
versus
buddy?
Anticide.
Looks like you're struggling there, mate.
I
Should we move
literally,
the armchair a little
literally
closer?
stare at keyboards all day. What do you think my vision is going to be like at this point? I'm 32 at this. Okay, of course I'm going to be squinting at the screen. And also, do you think we have giant plasma TVs over here? No, I'm looking at a tiny
It is
monitor.
big. It's really big. No, yeah, Venom Crest versus Antiside. And this is the lower bracket Turbo, let's not forget. The team that loses this will be out of the tournament. And, we're getting down to this crunch time. You got to start making those rounds count. You got to start winning maps. And, I mean, I don't know how you feel, Stephen, but I think I'll go Antiside in this next one.
Whoa. Before we get way too much into the next game, we'll save that. We'll enjoy that. We'll savor it. Go get a cup of tea. Put on, I don't know, like
Put on
some
the kettle.
food into the oven or something. Just kind of take a nice little break and get prepared, ready for our next lower bracket game. Otherwise, we'll also maybe go stick something in the oven, put the kettle on, and we'll see you after a little break. Don't you go away.
TF2 is back in Łódź, hosting the best teams in Europe. With 9 teams already invited, the final 5 spots were decided in the Open Qualifier. Let's learn about the contenders' journeys to land qualification. The 10 budding teams were split into 2 round-robin groups, with the top 2 from each qualifying directly. The last spot was to be decided in a best-of-3 between the 2 third-place teams. Group 1 started with a shock, as favourite Evil Gaming dropped out early, leaving the group wide open. First to qualify was Blocking Hazard, who last year had to fight through the repechage for their land tickets. This time they topped the table, not losing a single map. Velo Gaming would comfortably take second place, only losing to the Blokes, leaving Mr. McVitie's land-standing Hobnobs in third. Ex-Nandem captain Phoenix continued his previous qualifier form, as his team Smokebreak went undefeated. They were closely followed by reigning Div 2 champions Empreglodons, with Curse of Ra advancing to the last chance qualifier match versus McVitie's. Not Stephen and his biscuit friends rose to the occasion, but it was to no avail, as the Curse of Ra earned qualification by comfortably dunking on the Hobnobs in 2 maps. This sent Not Stephen to the casting desk. Resolve crumbled. With qualifiers wrapped up, how will these teams fare against Europe's best? Make sure you don't miss it.